Anthony, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you, man.
Thank you, man. You too. A good friend of mine that I work with, he sent me the review last night from your outlet, and that was nice. I don't know if you wrote that, but it was
I
one of
did.
your.
I did.
Great, man. That was really nice, and I
Well,
like
it.
how it came with your voiceover narration too. Nice job.
Thank you. That's really nice that actually you heard that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
funny because a lot of times you don't want to when you're doing the junket, when you're interviewing the actors, and you write a review. Sometimes you don't like the movie. It's nice when you like it. It's nice when it's.
yeah. No, the feeling's mutual here, James. I'm really excited by it for all these reasons. That the movie really delivers. So pumped to be a part of this franchise and the family and just great people too, man. I had great experientially. I had a great time doing it. Really
Yeah,
fun.
well, dude, and especially for you, you're playing Tommy. You're playing a character that we've known, we've loved. What was
Yeah.
your reaction to that?
Well, honestly, I just could. I can't thank David Green enough, man. I mean, David Gordon and Danny McBride. First of all, I was huge fans of theirs. I loved all their shows on HBO, Vice
Mhm.
Principal, Eastbound and Down. I mean, I really was a genuine fan of their movies and their shows. So when this came up, I actually took a meeting with David Gordon Green back at the end of the summer of 2019. And I just kind of requested that before I was going to do my screen test. And we just got along. We hit it off right away. We met at a hotel that he stayed at here in town. And, we talked about family, like he just had moved back to the East Coast along with Danny and his family. And, just kind of explaining how he set his life up, how they're going from comedy to now this franchise. And he was just such a cool, easygoing guy. So that was a really nice sort of entry into this world. And then I did my screen test, and thank God they chose me to play the part. So I'm really, really pumped about it. The experience of it, as I alluded to, was incredible. We shot in Wilmington, North Carolina, and it was great to be down south. And there's so many things I could tell you about these guys. I mean, first of all, only Clint Eastwood have I heard about that has this kind of a core ensemble crew. I mean, they really have like a group and a unit of people that have worked with them, men and women, for the last 15 years. So there's a really nice family vibe on the set, and it was just a great experience, man. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, how long did it take you to kind of find the vibe, and find their kind of feel?
It was immediate, because as they say, it starts at the top. So when you get to the set, David is just such a cool, easygoing guy. I mean, you really feel and get the sense that they're friends. All these guys that work with him on their crew. Our cinematographer, this guy Michael Simmons, like yourself, was cool, rocker type dude. He had the long hair, drove a motorcycle to set every day. So there was just this kind of ease about it, and we were all transplanted into this really chill part of our country. North Carolina is a beautiful state. So I felt it from day one. I really did. I felt that excitement. Everybody was passionate about what they're doing. Obviously, the stakes had been raised because the last film was such a hit.
Hmm.
So it was just all great, man. And it goes back to what you first said. It's really a pleasure when all the elements come together. And there's a product, in this case, a film that people are really excited for. And then there's also that thing of like the weight of the last year and a half. That gave me time to really plug into the fan base. And dude, I was watching so many like reaction videos, fan sites, stuff on YouTube. Like everybody, I'm on YouTube every day. Replaced the library when we were growing up, right?
I know,
I'm
right?
on YouTube, right? I'm on YouTube and just really enjoying that aspect of it. So, like all the fans of the franchise, I've been bugging out, just waiting for the film to arrive. So it's been really great on all these levels. You have an audience that is really hungry for this film, that is
Yeah.
anticipating it, and all that energy really makes it a lot of fun, man.
What was the most fun, interesting thing you discovered while kind of deep diving into this universe?
The fans, that aspect of it, because for some reason I thought in the back of my mind that there had been more installments of this franchise. So
Oh.
this being the 12th, I mean, I was just for some reason I just thought there were even more films. But just learning about it, and as you know, the fans of this franchise specifically are very detail oriented. They can tell you about how the
Hmm.
mask looked in all the 11 other films, or the difference between the men that have played Myers and
Hmm.
the story elements, the timelines. I mean, incredible stuff. So that's been a real fun education to kind of like the fans, kind of waiting with bated breath for the film to arrive. And just back to the project itself, it was an incredible experience. We didn't have a really elongated schedule. It was kind of like an independent film schedule. We shot for about 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and just so many cool craftspeople. Christopher Nelson, who created Myers and The Mask, and he's got his whole team. And as I said, the camera department with Michael Simmons were great. you know, and then all the actors, you know, there's some great men and women, like working with Jamie Lee and Judy and Andy and Kyle, just really good people, really down to earth and fun. Um, and what I think is really impressive is how David and Danny, who I'm huge fans of, along with Scott, they were able to kind of thread the characters from the original film through 2018's version and then up to now. And they still make room for other characters. So it's a real legitimate ensemble. But I think the energy of this kind of like good versus evil theme, it's all right there, you know. So I think the movie opens, and we're all sort of commiserating and dealing with the fact that we're victims and survivors. But then a very important turn takes place, which is everybody kind of summons this, you know, the good in them, and we unify, and everybody agrees that we have to fight and kind of rise up as a unit and a neighborhood. So that's very interesting. It's very compelling, and that sets the story forth, you know, in the first act. But just an incredible thing to see that there's such a buzz about the film. I've seen it now. I saw it with my wife a couple of weeks ago at Blumhouse, and
Nice.
it's just amazing, you know. And my first takeaway was how satisfying it's going to be for the audience. You know, that he's such a great director. He really made it like a thrill ride. So fans are going to be blown away, I think. Really, yeah.
Yeah, and well, I mean, as a fan myself, I was, and I'm
Cool.
watching this movie, and I'm kind of like, okay, weirdly enough, it's incredibly brutal. The kill body count is huge, but there's also this sense of like this human element that I think a lot of slashers don't get. They're allowed to grieve, they're allowed to feel
Yeah.
bad that this is
Sure.
really happening.
Sure.
And that's
No, you're
rare.
bringing up a great point. So there's that balance of the action and like you're saying, the effects of all the characters and how it affects the neighborhood and the town. And that's what I got to say. I mean, I got to hand it to those guys. They do it so effortlessly. And I think maybe a lot of that came from their training and the other work that they did with comedy, because you have to make adjustments. You have to kind of decide what works and what doesn't, and be willing to dispose of certain things if they don't work, et cetera, you know. But it's incredible how effortlessly they've tackled this franchise and elevated it. And you know, I'm just thrilled, man. I'm really just, I really feel so privileged and honored to be a part of it. And I've never had this feeling. I've never been a part of, with the exception of The Dark Knight, a franchise that people were really waiting for. You know what I mean? So it's just an incredible combination of great things, you know, coming together for this film. Yeah.
How do you specifically prepare for this guy? What is Tommy to you? How did you find this guy?
Well, the thing that struck me the most, and then in reflecting on it in the weeks leading up to this press tour, is this idea of like, it's a very heroic character, you know. I think what I remember from, you know, high school English and learning whatever I retained about literature is that, you know, a classical drama ends in a death, and a comedy can end in a wedding, per se, right? But with this, there's a real heroism to the character. The fact that I feel very blessed and fortunate that they gave me this role, because Tommy is sort of like the eye of the storm. You know, he's kind of, along with the other townspeople, makes this very heroic turn and decides to summon what's in him and become a fighter, as opposed to a victim or just merely a survivor. So I think that ethos is really powerful. And again, that was a gift that Danny and David and Scott gave all of us, because you see these opportunities that they create for the characters, which, like you're saying, it legitimizes, it gives it gravitas, as they say, you know? So I find that really interesting. And at the same time, they don't miss a beat. It still delivers as a major franchise sequel, you know?
Oh, I feel like it comes from David's past work, like you're saying, you know, some of the comedic work, but also the more dramatic work, like Snow Angels or All the Real Girls. I think a lot of it comes from that.
Yeah, and I have to say, I can't speak highly enough of this guy. I really loved him. I love working with him. I really want to spend more time with he and Danny in the future if I can. I really respect and love these guys. And David as a director is so impressive for the reasons you mentioned, the dexterity he has as a filmmaker, but also the lightness. You know, to be very honest, I saw a lot of John Hughes in David when I worked with him, in terms of that affability, that likable quality that he genuinely has as a person. Now, just to speak to his talents, a great writer, as is Danny. David's just a natural born filmmaker. He really is an auteur. You can fairly use that word when you mention his name. So it's really quite an accomplishment. You know, when I look at this film and people are comparing it to The Empire Strikes Back and all these other, it's like,
Nice.
right? I mean, it's amazing. It really is. It's amazing how satisfying. And that was my first takeaway when I watched it with my wife at Blumhouse. I was like, wow, that packs a punch for an audience. And so I think for the intelligence of a filmmaker like him and sharing those qualities that Hughes had, he's just very humble about the work. Ideas can flow from any direction. He takes them from the crew, he gets them from the actors. And there's just a genuine, likable quality that he has as a person, you know? And I think that I saw that in Hughes, what he gave us. You know, he gives us opportunities to try things, digress from the script, whatever. So I found, I was very pleasantly surprised that he reminded me of John Hughes in many ways, actually. Yeah.
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
It was such a pleasure meeting you. I've been a
Likewise,
fan
man.
forever, so
Thank
you're
you.
awesome, man.
Great
Cheers.
to meet you, man. Thank you so much for the positive review and time.
Of course, you kicked ass.
Thanks a lot, man.
Hey, what are you guys doing out here?
It's Halloween. We've been trick-or-treating.
Are you alone?
There's a creepy man in a white mask,
Where?
and he keeps like trying to play hide and seek with us.
Where did you see him? Look! Run! Go home now!
Unlock the door! No! Come on!
We killed Michael.
My grandmother set the fire.
No one told you.
Told me what?
Michael Myers is alive.
A man couldn't have survived that fire. "40 years ago, the boogeyman came for us. We are the survivors of Michael Myers.
Laurie, what do we do?
We fight.
Mom,
Our family will kill him.
we're gonna hunt him down and we're gonna put an end to this. He is not gonna stop killing until we stop him.
If you track Michael's victims, that's a straight line to Michael's childhood home.
Someone's in our house.
He's coming for me, but I'm coming for him.
You want to kill someone? Take me! Michael!
I want to take his mask off and see the life leave his eyes.